Welcome to the Swing-O-Matic featuring Gracie and Jenny, but mostly Gracie. All right, contact. Here goes. Here it goes. Yeah. Give me a yeehaw, cowgirl. Woo! This has been a labor of love. If you want to see how we made it, just keep watching. I took videos of various segments of construction, and I've tried to put them all together in one long video on my iMovie. So I don't think Disney has anything to worry about, but if I was Busch Gardens, I'd be scared because this is a good ride. Works better than I ever expected, frankly. So, all right, that's the Swing-O-Matic. Frank out here. Working on a new project. It's going to be the Swing-O-Matic, and I think when that's some parts going to be involved here. When I get done, if it turns out like I expect, which rarely happens, I'll probably be in line for a Nobel Prize for cool things for your kids to play on in the back. But anyhow, like many of my projects, it starts with a big hole in the ground, and this is one of the nicest holes really I've ever dug. And it's very important that the bottom be level. So I've filled it with water and sloshed around the bottom, so as that settles down and drains out, it'll dry with a flat level bottom. And then we'll throw this rock in the bottom, and then that pipe's gonna go down there, and you can see my 8 bags of concrete over there, 6 bags, filling around it, and then that post is gonna go up there, and then, or no, that one's gonna be the T across the top, and that long one over there goes with some pulleys around it, and actually a bunch of ball bearings at the bottom. So anyhow, before I got too far along, I wanted to document the beginnings of this noteworthy project. Well, it really is a nice hole. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but okay, so very exciting here. We'll get back to you when we got more to report. Frank, I'm back. I wasn't going to shoot any more video till we had a little more to report, but we've had a small but very exciting development involving that piece of metal right there. But anyhow, there's our hole, and I don't know if you can tell, but I've poured some concrete in the bottom. Actually, I first put a 1 foot square block, kind of like one of those, at the very bottom, because it was going to have a nice smooth surface for me, and I was tamping it down with that 4x4 post over there, and sucker cracked on me. So it was going to be a lot of work to get it out of there, and I ran the risk of messing up my hole, which, as you can see, it's a really nice hole. So I decided to just pour a little concrete over it. That's about 2 inches. I didn't want to add too much because I got to set this a 12-inch PVC pipe down. It's going to stand up in there. But anyhow, I decided a piece of sheet metal at the very bottom would be great. And I called a friend of mine who has a lot of junk at his house, and he had just exactly what I needed. It was about twice this big, but I cut it down so that it just covers that. And we're going to drop it down in the hole there in a minute. But first I need to clean it out a little bit with my extender reach shop vac made with the universal duct tape adapter there. But that's all for now. We'll get back to you when we got some more to show you. Frank out. So into every life a little rain must fall. Well, we had a bunch last night, and it caused a washout in my hole here. So I'm gonna get busy digging that out. But just wanted y'all to see the kind of things you run into. These things happen. So we'll get back to you in a bit. So before I get busy digging out the hole, I want to show you the wheels I've been working on while I've been letting the concrete at the bottom there cure. See what I got? I got a great deal on these wheels, but they swivel, which I didn't really want them to do. So what I've done is drill a hole and running a screw all the way through the swivel and the plate. I've got it done on all these. I got to finish up here. So I just wanted to. There's about 3 feet of them, which is as long as that pipe is. All right, Frank out. All right, we've got a significant milestone here. As you can see, we've got our 12-inch PVC pipe, and it's in the ground sitting on top of that 1-inch sheet aluminum piece I showed you earlier. And for reasons you'll come to understand earlier, I tried to bevel that edge to give myself a little more room to work with here later. And turned out to be a lot of work. A belt sander, which got over there somewhere, turned out to be the best tool for the job. Anyhow, we're getting ready to make up a batch of cement here, and we'll report back after we get this next batch poured. Frank, got an update for you. We got 5 80-pound bags of concrete poured, and as you can see, I found a bunch of rocks and old busted up concrete from something else, and I've been adding that as we got a little higher to take up some volume. I had 6 bags of concrete, but they were stacked up over there under the eaves, but with all the rain, bottom one got wet, and that's it right there. It went ahead and set up on me. But anyhow, it's looking pretty good, and I don't know if you can see that bubble, but we've maintained our level throughout the pour in both directions. That's better than most government work, so I'm very happy with that. And I've got 12 more bags of concrete. I went with the 50-pound bags this time because they were easier to handle than those 80-pound bags. They were heavy. But anyhow, looking good. We'll report back with a new installment when we get some more concrete poured. Frank out. All right, Frank here. I don't remember exactly where we left off in the last video, but I know we've made some amazing progress since then. I'm trying to get you a little perspective shot. But here, if you remember that pipe, 12-inch PVC pipe, 3.5 feet long, with a piece of sheet metal at the bottom, and we've got right at 1,500 pounds of concrete has been poured there. But it's turned out pretty good. And we got a little bit more work to do on our shaft, that center post with the wheels on it there. You may be wondering, how is Frank going to get that great big, long, very heavy 6x6 lifted straight up and down here so he can slide it into that pipe where those wheels are supposed to fit very snugly? Well, you'll just have to tune in for the next episode. But I got something in mind, and it's going to involve that tree and a long wire and a winch. So you definitely want to tune back in for that one. All right, that's all for now. We'll get back to you when we got some more to report. Frank out. The verge of some very exciting stuff with winches and cables and all, but before we get to that, I wanted to have a geometry segment here, because you'd be amazed how much high school geometry I've had to use in figuring out how to build this. And what's really amazing is that I remembered how to do a lot of it. So the first thing I was thinking about was this 12-inch pipe. So I got a bunch of 1/2-inch steel ball bearings over here. How many do I need to cover the bottom? And if you remember that pi r squared, you end up with, I think, 113 square inches, and these are half-inch ball bearings, so they actually take up a 1/4 of a square inch, except on the edges of the curve over there. They won't take up a full square 1/4 inch. So I think I figured I need 452, but I probably need something less than that because of the edges. And I got 500, so I think we're good there. The other cool geometry was I got this hexagon here. I built kind of a framework, and I actually just looked it up online. Interior angles of a hexagon are 120 degrees, and so if you think of a flat straight board would be 180, the difference is 60 degrees, and because you got 2 boards come together, that's like 30 degrees. So you set your chop saw at a 30-degree angle to cut all your boards same length and stick them together, and it comes out a almost perfect hexagon. And the last geometry I had to do, see, there's going to be a big center post here, and then it'll tee off and swing, and it's going to twirl around. And I was worried about where the swings or little kids' legs hit those trees, so I drew out to the far edge of where it would stick out, and then drew different angles for the swing sticking out, and you knew the hypotenuse, so you could calculate how long that bottom leg would be. I actually used the sine and cosine buttons on my calculator. I don't think I've done that since college. But I figured out I got plenty of room. So, there's probably been some other geometry involved, but kids at home, pay attention in geometry class. It can come in very useful in the future. All right, we got some more prep work to do on our main shaft there, and then we're gonna see if we can't lift it up with that cable and drop it straight in. So we'll get back to you when we're ready to do that. All right, about to make some big progress here. We, I don't know if you can tell through the light, but we got the ball bearings down there. Can't really see it on the screen, but they're all down there and pretty much covering the surface. And we got some heavy equipment ready to go to work here. See, we got cable running from that tree down through that hook, and it goes up to that tree, and then down there where I've temporarily fastened the winch I got, and it's connected to the battery. So we're gonna see what happens when I push the button here. Come on. Ooh, wow. Just like on TV. Okay, safety regulations require that I not film and operate the heavy equipment at the same time. So I'm gonna stop for a while and we'll come back when I got this thing up in the air. All right, we'll give you one kind of intermittent shot. I'm going in kind of small bursts, and then picking up the end so I'm not dragging my wheels there and kinking them out. So I'm not sure it's going to be high enough, but I'll get back to it. All right, to a little human horsepower. We got that thing, that wire is just all the way tight as hard as I can get it, and I had to kind of lift the bottom up over there, but man, it is in there with a really snug fit. So I'm going to turn the video off in case of catastrophic events, and see if I can make it lower down in there. Another definite milestone here. We've got the center shaft in, and this is just a temporary arm I put on here to make it easier to twist, because it twists real easily right there, but then it's got some rough spots. Like right there, you gotta push it a little bit in there, and see, and then it's easy there. And so you see how the wheels are all around. It's not exactly round down there, and I'm hoping it'll kind of wear out after a while. Smooth, because on the easy parts it's just right, but those hard parts, I'm not sure my motor will turn through that. But it's already getting a little easier as I've been working it, so I think that's gonna work out. I don't know. Tack got, that's the top of a Tupperware. You know, they just don't make a 14-inch Frisbee, which was my first choice, or Tupperware, but I got a 12-inch, so I'm gonna tack it just above so it'll help keep stuff out. And then move this down. That's not set yet. My motor's gonna go over here, and we'll show you when we get all that in. All right, looking good. Crank out. This will be a short segment, but I want y'all to see something. This is pretty amazing, actually. Check out that. Can you see that bubble? Man, it doesn't get no better than that. And keep in mind, I work for the government. Hold on a second. I think this is just an example of the kind of quality workmanship we usually get out of our state government employees. That is a little bit out, but that's really good. All right, that's all I want to show you. We're going to work on some mechanization this morning. Frank, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to show you all this. Or backwards. All right, here comes the rain. I just can't believe how well everything is coming together here. I got my cross member in. Getting the hole the right size through that was a lot of work. But we got it, and check this out. It starts out a little bit slow, but boy, it's whipping around. You gotta hold it on switch, so I gotta stay here. It's just temporary. But the best part is when I release the power, now it continues to twirl a little bit. Before, without the added momentum from the cross beam, it stopped very abruptly, and I was afraid that might jerk a kid around, but with the cross beam, it's worked out just right. So we'll see if it continues to work as I add weight to the outside. Frank, a big day here for the Swing-O-Matic. Let me kind of catch you up on what we got. See, I got some a little bit longer semi-permanent lines. I'm gonna mount something over there and bury that cable, but that switch then runs over to our battery here, which eventually is going to be hooked up to a solar panel, so this will be completely off the grid, self-sufficient, and that powers that motor. And I got this old car jack here that I use so I can adjust the belt tensions. See, I'm hinged right here, and the motor's mounted to that. As I tighten this up or loosen it up to take the belt off, so, and that's worked out very well. And y'all seen it go around. I've added some support cables on top there, and we got a test load here. Now that's a prototype counterweight from a hot tub lid semi-automatic lifter that I made, but this one was actually too heavy, so I ended up making a smaller one. But I kind of was curious how heavy it actually was, so I thought about, you know, I could figure out the diameter and the length of the cylinder and get the volume and calculate the average density of concrete, or I could just set it on the bathroom scale. So I went ahead and set it on the scale. It turns out it's about 52 pounds. Now that scale seems to read a little high on me usually, by as much as 10 pounds, but we'll go ahead and assume it was accurate this time. Turns out my daughter stepped on the scale at Publix a week or so ago, and she weighs just over 50 pounds, so I think this will be a good counterweight. But I've mounted it, you know, you can see pretty close into the center shaft there to minimize the weight. But let's see how it does here. Test one, weight at, and I know that I measured it, that's 36, it's about 20 inches out. All right, here goes, contact. Oh my God, look at that. This is like the Disney Imagineers. Wow, I'm really surprised how well it works without a counterweight. So, that's exciting. Oh, and you let the power off and it just gently comes to a stop. Sweet. Let's see how it does backwards. Unbelievable. So I get a little fuller shot. So you got to hold the switch on. I think that's a good safety feature. All right. Looks like I think I can claim that we have proof of concept here. So now it's just a matter of prettying it up. And I found this saddle here on eBay for like 98 bucks. And I coincidentally have a 1.5 feet of 12-inch PVC left. Seems like that's going to mount on just right. And so I'm going to figure out how to mount that and hang it from the other end over here. And we'll be riding Cowgirl Swing-O-Matic. All right, Frank out. All right, everything's looking pretty good. We've tried a couple of different configurations of how to mount the counterweight and the saddle. You see we got the saddle there, but I think I finally got one that does, so let's give it a try. Look at there. Everything staying straight. There's gonna be kids lining up around the neighborhood. I could charge money for this. All right, that's all for the saddle test. Next test probably involve a human. You don't want to miss it. Crank out. Okay, this is the Swing-O-Matic.
Oh my God!
I made this for my 7-year-old daughter who weighs about 50 pounds. And this is my 21-year-old daughter, Haley, who we're gonna just say something over 100 pounds. And as you can see, I set the counterweight out at a further distance, so it with a longer lever arm, so it holds Haley. It doesn't seem to go quite as fast with Haley as it does with Gracie, but it works even for grown-ups.
Dad, I'm dizzy.
You're dizzy. All right, you want me to go backwards? Here, I'm stopping.
You just to go backwards?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, do it backwards.
Okay, here, let me. I gotta let it come to a stop.
This is waking me up for
Yeah. If you ever operate it, let it come to a complete stop before you hit reverse, because I'm afraid I'll mess up my
solar powered?
Yeah, there's a 12-volt battery down there, and that solar power panel keeps it charged up. Okay, here we go backwards. Ooh, this will get you undizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's helping.
Good. Let me step back.
Ooh.
Wow.
Do you think you can hold me and Grace?
No. I might. It held Uncle Cam. He says he weighs 170 pounds.
Oh, yeah, it could for sure hold us.
Yeah. Well, let's not try.
Okay.
Woo! Okay, so it holds Haley. I think it's plenty safe for Gracie. That's Gracie right there. Hey, Gracie, turn and smile. Show us those teeth. Yeah. Okay, Frank out.
Whoa.